N'Keal Harry was an absolute steal at 32. What are you guys talking about? Forget Tom Brady's passing numbers. He's the GOAT because he was the best punter in the NFL. I take Johnny Hekker over Patrick Mahomes to be my quarterback any day.
Welcome to the No Punt Intended Sportscast with your host, Parody07.
Welcome back to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. I'm your host, Guy, and I'm here with, as always, the DAWGS. It's a little premature howl there, but we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. Yeah, like premature decisions like, I don't know, Matt Canada getting fired or particular Panthers coaches getting fired. No comment. But
still jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, it's all about who replaces the guy, right? Like it's one thing. It's like, okay, we lost one, we got rid of some guy, right? But if you put garbage in and then you take it out and then replace it with garbage, you're not done anything. You just made lateral moves.
Exactly.
And apparently the NFL is not a fan of long lateral moves on key plays because they will find a way to penalize such debauchery, as they would say, to make sure that just fun football doesn't happen. And
yeah,
I mean, it cost some brain cells for our own Hound, I'm sure, but Chiefs fans all over, not just in Kansas and not just in the Midwest and not just in the United States of America, but across the entire planet.
Yep.
There were
Chiefs fans in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost fans in Germany. New England has got the biggest German fan base in the NFL, and we went over there and stunk. But we won this week, so I have to talk about that. The Chiefs lost this week, so most likely Hound has to talk about that. And unfortunately for LB, it's kind of been status quo with the Panthers. But instead of doing good, bad, and the coaching, we're going to just kind of let it be free reign. If you guys want to talk about college, if you find that more interesting than your team right now, if you guys want to talk about the refs, you want to talk about your team, just the NFL in general, you want to talk about maybe the potential playoffs coming up with some of the potential teams in the logjam that is the AFC wildcard race. There's all kinds of things that y'all can touch on. That's completely up to you guys. I have an obligation to talk about some of the more recent reports coming out of New England. But outside of that, I was kind of hoping that this week would be uneventful so we could talk about the college games on New Year's, which I'm very excited about. So maybe we'll save that for another episode. But for now, we'll start with LB, who's a little under the weather. So if it might be a little bit shorter segment today, but for him, but that's more than okay. Let's hear just whatever it's on your mind, dude. Just Goodell is just not doing it for you. Does David Temper need to be banned from all sports? I mean, does Tua need to start throwing with his right hand? What's on your mind?
Well, yeah, Carolina lost 28-6 last week, so that's never fun. They didn't score an offensive touchdown. That was for the third time this season. They've not been able to do that, which is clearly an issue. I'm not going to get into the details of the game. I'll highlight some things that I thought were pretty funny. One being the Panthers had the ball first and goal on the 1 yard line. Right? We had a really nice run from Miles Sanders. The first and only good play of his season so far as I'm aware. It was like a 48-yard run down to the 1 yard line. And, most teams, the Eagles, the Cowboys, pick a team, Pittsburgh, whoever. Most teams are going to sneak the 1 yard line in. They're going to quarterback sneak for a touchdown. Well, when you draft basically a high school sized quarterback in the NFL, the most underappreciated yet probably most valuable play in sports has been in the sport of football, has been taken out of the equation essentially. I mean, you could attempt to run a quarterback sneak with Bryce Young, but everybody knows how that's going to turn out. We're going to get stuffed. If you have Jalen Hurts, who's strong as an ox and squats 600, 700 pounds, he can push the pile alone. So you're going to line up in that position, basically guaranteed touchdown. What Carolina did, we had 1st and goal from the 1. We ended up being 4th and goal from the 12.
Oh my gosh.
And we had to kick a field goal. We had the ball on the 1 yard line, had to kick a field goal. We could not score a touchdown. So again, that's another wrinkle to the whole Bryce Young draft pick that this game it didn't call, it wasn't the difference in the game. Getting a 1 yard quarterback sneak for a touchdown wasn't the difference between a win and a loss. But it could be. And oftentimes it might be. Whether it's just situationally, picking up a first down, putting the game on ice, running the clock, football's a game of inches. And when you can't line up from the 1 yard line and just quarterback sneak it, which is, a play as old as the game itself, it's kind of telling about the state of your offense and your capabilities as an offense or lack thereof. So that's something I noticed that, I always had in the back of my mind when they picked Bryce Young. Obviously, that's not the most important thing, is you don't draft, a 6'6", 250-pound quarterback just because he can quarterback sneak, right? Like that's not on the bingo card of your quarterback evaluations going into a draft. I mean, it's probably in the back of your mind somewhere, but it's certainly not, one of the top 10 most important things about your pick. But again, it's something that is important, I think, and you don't miss it until you need it and you can't get it. I mean, earlier this year, Panthers had to bring in Andy Dalton to run a quarterback sneak. So it's an issue that showed its head more than once, and it's just frustrating. Another funny thing I saw, though, moving on from that, was again from this past week. I was scrolling through Twitter as I usually do, or X, whatever you want to call it, as I usually do, watching the Panthers games live. And at CLT Sports Fan tweeted, and I quote, "If we're keeping it a buck, Thomas Brown should be fired tomorrow." And for those of you who don't know, Thomas Brown is the offensive coordinator for the Panthers, who has resumed play calling after Frank Reich was fired. Well, underneath this tweet, a lady by the name of Jessica A. Brown, who I'm presuming to be Thomas Brown's wife, responded saying, "We are fired," with 3 exclamation points. "We just have to stay behind because someone has to call plays. If you guys know someone else to do it the next 4 weeks, give Tepper a holler. As if this is fun for us." So apparently, if that has any merit to it, Thomas Brown has already been fired, unofficially.
That's wild.
Excuse me. So, that. Hey, listen, he should be fired. That was a horrible, horrible game he called. Multiple short yardage plays. We're in, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, down distances. We're in shotgun. We don't have the right personnel on. We're throwing a 50-yard go ball, on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Like, dude, let's just pick up the first down and keep the sticks moving. It was horrible play calling from the top down. This organization's terrible. I'm frustrated. I'm excited for it to be over with, for this season to be over with, because it's been miserable. But, I am excited for college football, especially the playoff games. I'm excited for Liberty playing Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl.
Let's go.
I think that'll be good. I'll go on record saying I think Alabama wins the national championship.
Oh,
I want to say, again, I said this at the outset of the season, but I want to renew it here. Now that's more recent. I want to go ahead and say, again, that the 49ers win the Super Bowl. And I'll kind of leave it there. I'm looking forward to the college game because the NFL, as far as my team's concerned, has not been entertaining at all.
I feel you on the entertaining part, and Hound can't relate in this way because not only has his team been entertaining because they win games, but it's also entertaining for them because the greatest entertainer of our generation is at the games most of the time. So
Matt Nagy?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I've seen his dance moves.
But
no, I just want to say, I think I was vindicated this week.
Okay, we'll talk about
if you
that
remember,
later. Yes.
If you remember last week, I said it was so easy just to pick losers, and I proved it to you by picking the Chiefs to lose to the Bills. And what happened?
They lost. You're right.
Well, the Chiefs lost to the Bills. So easy, right?
I chose my team to lose and we didn't, even though that losing, we can't lose for winning or win for losing, whatever. Whatever. Oh my gosh. I was trying to hold off on that until we got back to prediction time. And it is only you know what? Forget it. We're doing prediction time right now. If you're going to bring it up, I don't care. We'll bring it up right now.
Yeah, let's do it now.
Let's do it now. I mean, and we got beef this weekend naturally anyways, because we got Chiefs coming to Foxborough, baby. And I hope and pray you guys blitz the ever-loving crap out of Bailey Zappi. And I hope he doesn't complete a single pass. I really
like
do.
This.
I hope that game ends 12-3. That's what I want. I want a 12-3 Chiefs win. But
Is that your prediction?
No, but that's what I want. That's what I want. But we'll start with Hound because we're on the subject. Hound, Chiefs at Pats in Foxborough. Pats coming off a whopping 21-point outing against a pretty legit Steelers defense. And they did it in a quarter and a half and then decided not to play offense for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
If we get a full game of offense, do you think the Chiefs could catch up with this now blazing hot Patriots team?
You know what? I don't like this attitude you've got. So
it's the sarcasm.
Just to prove a point this week, I'm going to pick a winner that the Chiefs win.
Okay.
You know, just because.
Okay.
Not because I think they'll win, but just because of your attitude.
Okay.
Let's say Chiefs win. I'll say 27-13. I think the Patriots will be able to make a few drives. I think they figured out how to at least score more than 10 points now, but I don't think they'll be able to adjust well.
It was Hunter Henry's birthday, okay? He had 2 touchdowns and like 5.
It was his birthday.
It was his birthday. And to be fair, anytime a big life event has happened in Hunter Henry's life, he's popped off. He had a kid the day before a Colts game one time, and he had like 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. Like he had a huge day.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But yeah, so that's my prediction.
27-13.
The offense will be
Chiefs win.
Fine. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens.
What was your prediction?
I haven't picked mine yet. I figured we would bookend on that.
Okay.
But
keep this.
We can sandwich mine in here if you want.
That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Let's hear Falcons at Panthers.
Tickets are going for a whopping $8 a pop at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte.
Wow.
I'm tailgating, boy.
Dude, what a joke. Good job, David Tepper. The Tepper effect is in full effect, dude.
I'm going to spend more Chipotle after the game.
A bottle of water inside the stadium would cost more than a ticket.
That's true.
Panthers lose 23-10.
Oh my gosh. You think they're going to put 23 points up on that defense?
No, we lose.
No, I know what you're saying, but you're gonna say Ritter is going to put 23 points up.
The first time we played, we lost 24-10, so I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood again. I'm going 23-10. And again, that might be 7 points off of a pick six, strip sack, fumble, punt return, kick return, something like that. So I don't know if it's all offensive points,
right?
Yeah, and the Panthers 10 points. Wouldn't be surprised if if they do score a touchdown, if they do end up with 10 points, if that touchdown comes off of special teams or defense. I don't know if their offense is going to move the ball at all. I really don't.
Well, that Falcons defense is about as bad as that Chargers defense. So, I mean, it's not like, it's not like there's going to be a great wall in front of you. You guys will have opportunities. It's just whether you execute them, or if whether you guys actually call offensive plays on offense. But that's been difficult as of late for you guys too. But I do appreciate the Miles Sanders shout out. You've been kind of a little miff on Mr. Sanders, considering his total of like 18 yards in 500 carries this season. But we'll see. Maybe Miles Sanders is starting to get his legs under him a little bit. Maybe. But
be nice. We paid his butt a lot of money.
Yeah. Maybe it's a back end deal for you guys. Maybe we'll see. But I've got to pick Chiefs at Pats. The first time ever on the show we have our teams playing each other, and I have to agree with Hound. I really don't see New England winning this game. I do see Belichick doing something though. I do see Belichick pulling another defensive half out of his back pocket. I feel like he's been scheming for Mahomes for ages, and I feel like Mahomes will struggle in this game. I do think, especially in the first half, I think Mahomes will struggle. Mahomes is a more seasoned player now, and it's been a couple years since New England's played the Chiefs, and the last time we played, we had good old buddy Brian Hoyer playing quarterback. So it's not like that was any sort of barn burner or anything like that. But Chiefs beat the Pats, and I have them winning 19-7. 19-7. Weird score, okay. But I'm going 19-7. Yeah.
I could see a field goal game.
Yeah, I feel the Patriots will have one good drive out of nowhere. It's either going to be the first drive of the game or the first drive of the second half, and then that'll be it for offense. Bailey Zappi he's like an ultimate move in a video game that only lasts for about 15 seconds, and the second you use it up, you suck again. So 19-7, Patriots lose to the Chiefs in Foxborough, and I'll get to my reasons why I feel the way I do about Bailey Zappi when it's my turn. But for now,
back to your ordinary program.
Yeah, back to your regularly scheduled tomfoolery. Hound, yeah. The floor is yours. What would you like to talk about?
Well, it's not about what I would like to talk about, but what I must talk about as my duty as a Chiefs fan and as a member of this Sportscast. I have to talk about the Chiefs' loss to the Bills.
Okay.
So let's just start with Josh Allen. Okay. Josh Allen seems like a nice guy off the field.
Does he?
I think most of us can agree. He doesn't seem like a mean guy.
Okay.
I would agree.
But whenever my team plays against Josh Allen, I always root for his downfall and his failure. It may be a little sadistic, but I like to see Josh Allen fail.
Me too.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea why. But I don't know why exactly. Because, again, off the field, he seems like a, nice guy. I'm not, he seems fine. He's not super arrogant, except when he's playing. And there's just something about him that just irks me, and I'm so happy to see whenever he fails. I don't know why. I don't know why. Because I don't have that same feeling of like Joe Burrow or a lot of other people the Chiefs play against. But for Josh Allen, I don't know why. But anyways, it kind of happened, kind of didn't happen in this. So Chiefs defense did good. We allowed only 20 points, which against the Bills offense, I'll take 20 points any day, really. Our defense held Stephon Diggs to only 24 yards. We limited Josh Allen to only 233 passing yards. Again, stats that I'm very happy with. We struggled a little bit with James Cook, their running back, at the first half of the game, but we kind of tightened it up by the second half. So overall, defense did good, especially considering we didn't have one of our safeties, and Tranquil, our number 2 linebacker, was out, even though we got Nick Bolton back for the first time in over a month. So that was great to see. Then let's get into the offense. The offense, we were missing a few pieces. Most importantly, we were missing Isaiah Pacheco. So we didn't have our normal, 100 miles per hour runner. He was out for the game. So we had to rely on the likes of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who only had 39 rushing yards on 11 carries, but he ripped his pants in half. So that was very entertaining. I don't know if you saw that, but very funny. It was just in the middle of the field, and his pants were ripped in half, and he had to run off the field and get new pants. Very funny.
Nice.
But in general, we didn't run the football very well or very often. But the other person who was out was our left tackle, Donovan Smith. He was out of the game. He didn't even start. So we had to start our rookie tackle, Wanye Morris. We drafted him in the middle rounds in this last year's draft.
He's from Oklahoma.
So it was like, okay, we'll see what he's got. He allowed no sacks in the game. He allowed a couple pressures, but in general, did very good, especially for a rookie. Very good. Nice. So, in all honesty, in the next season, might be the starter over Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith hasn't been doing amazing. He's been doing okay at not allowing sacks, but he does a lot of holds. And Donovan Smith's known for allowing a lot of holds because he's kind of a lazy blocker. He doesn't like to move his legs, so he just kind of holds on to people. But that's neither here nor there. It's great to have another tackle that you can rely on and put into the game. But the reason why the outcome was the way it was in actuality and not in the ways that people think is because the Chiefs had 2 turnovers, which I know I've talked a lot about turnovers in this game, over the weeks, like the Chiefs always turn over the football. And we did have an interception and a fumble. But what's strange is that neither of those turnovers turned into points for the Bills. Our defense actually stopped them from scoring both times. So that was great. But the reason I say that lost us the game is because it was simply just lost opportunities. Because we threw an interception on the very first drive of the football game. And up until the interception, we were getting at least 5 yards per play. Like we had not been stopped, and we were past midfield, and then we throw an interception. And it's like, man, if we hadn't done that, we probably would have drove down the field and scored. We were on a very good rhythm up until that point. And the fumble was by Rashee Rice, my boy. First one he's had all season. So it's kind of unfortunate because, again, we were kind of in midfield. You'd like to see at least get some points in those positions. Like, again, a field goal would have had the game tied at the end and completely changed the scenario. So any points would have been great. But talking about Rashee Rice, he had another good game outside of the fumble, but fumbles are, if you've had one all season, I'm not going to really hold it against you. They sometimes just happen. And Rashee Rice had 7 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. Very good numbers for Rashee Rice. You know who didn't have any catches? Sky Moore. So I'm very happy about that. We're learning. And Travis Kelce had a decent game. He had like 80 some yards. So he did fine. But in general, the offense I thought was doing okay. But having 2 drives end in turnovers never helps. So if you can just shore up those, maybe you can score more than 17 points. Then you get I don't know if you had something to say before I get to the main thing everyone's been talking about.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you were done, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, no. I know I've been talking a little bit, but
that's okay.
I have two more things to say.
Go
One
ahead.
is I want to give a little update on my MVP pick of the year. Now, I don't know if listeners remember, but my MVP pick of the year wasn't Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
It was actually a defensive player. It was George Karlaftis.
Yes.
And people are like, that's weird. Why would you pick a defensive player? And also, why George Karlaftis, not Chris Jones or somebody fancy like that? Well, George Karlaftis is leading our team in sacks. He has 9 sacks on the season. Chris Jones only has 7.5. And he had another sack in this game. He's been doing very well. He's going to end the season in double-digit sacks. And that's great. Great for a guy who's only in his second season. Love to see it. In all honesty, might be the MVP of this team unironically. Unironically, considering how bad the offense has been in games. And defense is the reason why we're winning. I would say that perhaps you would put Trent McDuffie over George Karlaftis. Maybe. But both of them have been doing super well. Anyways, to the big drama. I just wanted to gloat.
Yes.
Big drama was the penalty near the end of the game with 1.5 minutes left. The Chiefs make probably the best play they've had all. Let me rephrase that. They do make the best play that they've made all season. With Mahomes throwing like 20 yards down the field, Kelsey running another like 10 or 15 yards, then ladling the football back another 10 or 15 yards to Kadarius Toney, who runs it into the end. Very fun to watch. I don't know if I've ever seen a play quite like that, especially when you're not doing like a full-on lateral play, right? That was spontaneous. So, but it was called back because Kadarius Toney had his foot on the line. So he was called for offensive offsides, a penalty you hardly ever hear about in the NFL. It's very rare. And there's been a lot of controversy because Mahomes was fuming, I would say, after the game, but he was also fuming during the game. And on the sidelines, there's some very funny memes about that. And even Andy Reid said that he didn't agree. He was frustrated about the play or the penalty, not because they didn't think it was a penalty, but mainly because apparently there's a custom for the referees to work with the players and the coach and to help players make sure that they're not offsides. Now,
like a warning, right? Like
like a warning. And usually what happens, right? Wide receivers go up to the line, they look at the referees, and then the referees will tell, like, either like motion for them to step back or something like that. That's usually what they mean. Sometimes they'll talk to the coaches or what, right? But they kind of do it while it's happening, right? Well, with this play, the issue is if Kadarius Toney did do that, looked over and they didn't say anything, I would be kind of frustrated if that's what they normally do help with. Like,
right.
What? But we don't really know. It's kind of at the end of the game, so I don't remember how fast we got up to the line, and Kadarius Toney's not the smartest guy. So I don't know if he just forgot.
Well, then.
To, do that. And, I mean, again, I'm not calling Kadarius Toney dumb, because, everyone, I don't know him, and I'm sure he's actually a pretty smart guy. But you've got to realize that when you're looking back at the center, that you're probably over the line. That's a good hint. So, yes, maybe the referees should have warned Kadarius Toney, but, there's some other
if he's got defensive players behind him, maybe he's offside.
If the defensive players are blocking you from seeing the football, maybe you should step back. So, anyways,
well, maybe the defensive players are offsides. I know.
Well, that's actually what's funny. What's funny is I think it was one or two plays later. A lot of Chiefs fans have been pulling this up. Von Miller jumps off sides, and it's not called.
Oh my gosh!
It's like, man, that's frustrating. Again, that's a 5-yard penalty. It would have given us a fresh set of downs, probably, or at least another redo. But that's not giving you a guaranteed touchdown or anything.
Right.
So, anyways, refereeing always complicated. But I just think, for me, it was very frustrating because it's a play that, like a penalty on a thing that doesn't actually impact the game.
Yeah.
There's no advantage Kadarius Toney had in that. Like, there was none. He was one, at most, a foot further than he should have been. He didn't get an advantage by doing that. He didn't even catch the initial pass, so it especially didn't matter. Was it a penalty? Yes. If you look at it, he did violate it. But it's frustrating when a penalty that doesn't have an impact on the play that happened, completely dismantles the entire play. So that's what's frustrating. I blame Kadarius Toney more than the referees. Although, again, if there's more information about the referees screwing us, then sure, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
But and also it's Carl Sheffers, who's the referee, and the Chiefs have had a long history of Carl Sheffers. Let's just say the Chiefs fans are yelling, "Refs, you suck," so loudly you could hear it on the TV broadcast.
Yeah. And
that's not the first time they've done that to Carl Sheffers.
Fair enough.
So he has a long history of, he's the referee that Travis Kelce, like 6 years ago, said couldn't even wasn't qualified enough to work at a Foot Locker. So
wow,
a long history with this referee.
Nice.
But again, I don't think he was the one who initially called it to begin with, but I don't know. So
he was the messenger, so you're shooting him down.
Exactly.
I hear you.
I do believe in shooting the messenger, because who else would you shoot?
No one else is standing there. I just picture Hound.
Yeah.
I picture Hound with that avatar that he has with the suit and everything, just sitting there like on this like big gold throne with the red accent and everything.
Yes.
And the messenger comes that it was an offsides on the offense, and he just kind of like makes a little motion with his hand, like cut his throat, and then just there's a sideways guillotine that just comes by and decapitates the guy, and you just like shouldn't have been the messenger, man. You got no. In the top it says if you don't got nothing nice to say about the Chiefs, don't say anything at all.
That's true.
So,
I do believe in that. Yeah,
that's not at all toxic or cancer culture or nothing, but
yeah. So anyways, that's my view on the whole penalty.
For sure.
It's kind of frustrating how that ended. Now, I do hate how many fans are calling Mahomes a crybaby. He's apologized since. Like today, he was on a talk radio show and apologized for what he said, kind of. And, for the way he acted, right?
Right.
But people are like, Mahomes is a crybaby. And there's some funny memes about it, to be fair. But
which makes it okay.
What does every fan that's not a Chiefs fan do after every time the Chiefs win? Complain about the referees.
Yep.
Like, what? This is what you have been doing all year. All year. So it's like, come on. Like Mahomes could have been so much more angry after last week when we didn't get a passer interference in the Green Bay game, but he wasn't. Like he mentioned it, but he was like, it happens. You try to put yourself in a position where that doesn't matter. And now this time, the first time he actually does kind of go after the refs a little bit. Now everyone's like, oh, he's always been a crybaby. No, he hasn't. But
that's improper character evidence. Not always one.
Improper character evidence. But I do love the memes about Patrick Mahomes with him on the sidelines. It's very funny.
Hey, to be fair, once again, our pod is a little ahead of the curve. Couple pods ago, the thumbnail was him being crying Jordan. So
that's true.
I'm not saying he is a crybaby, but we predicted this moment coming, whether we meant to or not. Whether we meant to or
you're predicting.
Yes, for sure. For sure. We've been pretty good on it. I am very proud of how almost eerily accurate we've been on certain things. So
yeah. No, we've been doing good on that.
Yeah, we probably just jinxed all of it, but it's okay. It's okay. Is that all you got on your chest, Hound, or is there anything else that you feel the need to tell the world?
No, I have nothing else to talk about with the game. So
fair enough. But is that your first L with Taylor Swift in attendance? Or
I don't know. She was at the Green Bay Packers game.
Okay.
So the tides have sifted. Ever since we released her new album, it's down. Time to cut and set loose.
Maybe the team is spending too much time listening to her album instead of watching film.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now we've got to get now he has to date Ariana Grande or something.
Somebody who doesn't
famous.
Somebody else who doesn't have an album coming out.
Yes. Dolly Parton.
Oh gosh.
She's probably not going to release a new album anytime soon, right?
Probably not. No.
Who knows? That would be news.
Yeah, it would. It would. But if you're satisfied with your care, then I have to take care of business here.
Yes.
I need to talk about what could potentially be, and as of to date, it already is, but it could be spell even worse than what it is now. What is the worst win in franchise history?
Ooh.
The worst win in franchise history. That's right. The New England Patriots snapped their, I believe it was 7-game losing streak. If it wasn't 7, it was 6 games.
Same thing.
Right. They just lost a bunch of games right in a row. And they beat a Mitch Trubisky-led Steelers team in Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football. And not only did they beat them in the totality of the game, they really beat them in a quarter and a half and then kind of cruise controlled the rest of the way. At least play calling wise, they were.
Yeah.
But I got to talk about Bailey Zappi because there's already people are saying, take Marvin Harrison Jr. Yes, you should take Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. Yes, you should take Marvin Harrison Jr. But the reason they're saying that is because the future is in New England now with Bailey Zappi. No, the frick it's not. Okay? The throw to Hunter Henry, the second throw to Hunter Henry that was a touchdown, was the same play that Mac threw an interception over with, guess what, Jalen Ramsey lurking on that side. And just the way that the safeties played that and stuff was different. And Bailey Zappi was able to lead Hunter Henry like Mac was trying to lead Kendrick Bourne. And the result was obviously very different. Okay, there was a difference in talent, number one, on the back end there. But also, you have to consider the fact that they had Hunter Henry running down at 6'5", running that seam route rather than, I think Bourne is right at 6 foot or 6'1" or something like that. But he doesn't play super big anyways. I will not take away from Bailey Zappi what he did in the first half, because he made good decisions, got the ball out quick. The throw to Juju on the left side on the first drive was a jump ball into double coverage, and Juju came down with it. That's hit. Props to Juju. Okay, he had his best.
Juju actually played like a receiver who was worth at least $1 million.
Yeah, he had 96 receiving yards, I think, which was the first time a receiver has even sniffed 100 yards this season in New England. So congratulations to Juju having a good game. He's starting to come on a little bit. Maybe there's something there. I'm still willing to give him away for a 6th round pick rather than a 7th round pick, but the jury's still a little out. But Bailey Zappi ran the same play twice on that drive, once on a 2nd and long that ended up getting a first down with Zeke, and then it was the next play was a touchdown to Zeke on the same play a little bit later in the drive. Then he had a short field and he made a good throw in the back of the end zone. And then the other drive was with the deep shot to Hunter Henry on the left side as well. And Zappi was feeling himself. You know, he felt like he was the man, and then he came back down to earth. And when I mean came down, I mean it was like a meteor shower, man. Just threw an interception and could have been picked up a couple other times. He was sacked several times. A lot of these sacks, I don't know if it's his fault or not. I can't tell with the TV copy, but it kind of felt like most of them were just the offensive line not being able to handle that Steelers front in those moments, which, look, at the very least, he's not running backwards 15 yards and getting sacked back there. He's taking his 6-yard lump and then living to play another down. So I give him that. But what New England fans need to understand is that's not a level of quarterback play that we need to be successful. That's a level of quarterback play you need in a backup quarterback. I never had a problem with Bailey Zappi being on our team. In fact, I've been on the record saying I am glad he's on our team. But the absolute ignorance to say that he is our future is insane. I don't care if he's 3-1. 2 of those wins were against the worst defenses in the league in their respective weeks. Okay, the last week's win was a little bit more impressive. The thing that I appreciated about that game as well is that I feel like Bill O'Brien was in his bag a little bit, and I think that benefited Zappi instead of it being a more conservative game like it was the week before. And to be fair, they went back to that conservative play style in the second half once they were up and almost gave the game away, which I was kind of hoping they would. You know, I mean, a blocked punt, you know, they jumped off sides, and the refs wanted us to win so bad that we jumped off sides and they called it on them. Like, it was just that just insane.
What you needed is Juju just be on the line of scrimmage and do what Kadarius Toney did. You needed
they needed to spray that
blue. Was wild.
Yeah, they needed to show the blue line that they show on the TV copy. They needed to see it so Juju could step on it and get called for offsides.
Yeah.
But Juju's smarter than that, unfortunately. So, look, I'm still a homer. I'm still a New England fan. I'm happy they won the game. Like, I root for them to win every week because I can't help myself. But the understanding of where this puts us in the draft makes this a really tough win. We didn't move anywhere, but we are now tied record-wise with the Cardinals, which means if we win any more games and the Cardinals don't, that means we'll drop down to at least 3, if not lower than that. This could end up not mattering, okay, as far as whether we're 2 or 3. If we get below 3, then it's a problem. But 2 or 3, it may not matter. Obviously, winning this week, and the reason why I said it's the worst win in franchise history is because they now are most likely out of the contention for the first round pick unless they're going to give significant assets up, which New England doesn't
do. Don't know. Maybe the Panthers go on a rampage the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's not happening, fellas. you might as well go ahead and give that number 1 pick to Chicago.
Yeah. And I don't know if Chicago's looking for a quarterback, so they might trade out. Who knows?
They've got 2 picks too. So.
Yeah, so it's draft season is going to be spicy. I can't wait. But here's the interesting thing. there have been reports that have come out in the past 24 hours. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 12th of December. There are reports out that the Patriots have already expressed to Bill Belichick that he will no longer be coaching the team in 2024.
Wow.
Some reports have even said that there is already a trade set up, but they are not going to fire nor trade Bill Belichick, the greatest coach in football history, during the season, because he's earned that. And I agree. I also think that Bill Belichick had a little hand in the defensive game plan against Mitch Trubisky, because there was people blitzing. There was one of the most exotic game plans I've seen since week 1 in Philly, against Philly. Like, it was really a top-notch defensive scheme performance. And I feel like Bill Belichick is auditioning that he can still run a defense. He can still do the coach things. He can still make challenges when he's supposed to. I think he's going to be coaching for his next job for the next couple weeks, which bodes well in New England for one reason and bodes poorly for another reason. If Bill Belichick is in Super Bowl mode every week, then the defense is going to play out of its mind and we might accidentally win a couple games. Like, that's my concern. But if Belichick wants to drive his value up and find a way to get New England another first-round pick this year, that would make things a little bit more interesting to me. Because usually playoff...
Bill Belichick to the Bears, maybe.
That's... I'm telling you.
Really?
Other than the Chargers, what potential playoff team is going to be looking for a head coach? Not very many of them. And fortunately for their respective teams, but, you know, the jury's still out on some of them, but the two Philly coordinators that got hired seem to have won over their respective franchises. You know, Mike McCarthy isn't going anywhere in Dallas. Andy Reid's not going anywhere. Sirianni's not going anywhere.
Well, we could use a defensive coordinator.
I don't think Bill Belichick
we don't need... No, imagine, though, if Andy Reid and Bill Belichick were on the same team.
Imagine putting a fantasy team together of just coaches. Oh my goodness. But the teams that are going to be looking for a head coach next year are teams like the Bears, the Panthers.
Yeah.
You know, teams like that.
Oh, yeah.
And those teams are going to be picking most likely in the top 10, definitely top 15.
I mean, the Bills.
I don't know if
the Jets.
I don't know if the Bill can coach in the AFC East. I don't think he can.
Commanders.
He could go Commanders. I
just think it'd be funny.
I still think there's a chance he goes back to the Giants. Like, I know that Brian Daboll has done a pretty decent job over there, but he still talks very highly of that organization, so I think that would be the team that he could end up going to. But if my bottom line is, if New England is in a position where they have two top, we'll say 12 picks, if they end up with the number 3 and miss out on Drake May and Caleb Williams, then they can take Marvin Harrison Jr., then they can take Jaden Daniels in the middle of the round, or Michael Penix Jr., or somebody of that ilk. And I think that makes your team immensely better, at least offensively. So, Bill Belichick, if you could do me a favor and make sure you look competent so that the trade is at least 1 first-round pick, then we appreciate your service. And we really hope we don't have to play you. And what you mean to this franchise is immeasurable, but all good things must come to an end, Bill. And I feel like a lot of that started to go downhill when you chose the cap over Tom Brady, but we'll leave that alone. And with that homage, we will be delighted to see how different the New England staff could look next year. I do think Bill O'Brien should still be our offensive coordinator. I'd love Josh McDaniels come be the quarterback's coach. I think that would be
head coach.
Yeah, no, not head coach, but
Matt Patricia, is he available?
Gerard Mayo is kind of the head honcho right now as far as that goes. But there's Ben Johnson, I think is his name, is a guy that's his name is getting thrown around a little bit. Mike Vrabel's name has been thrown around. But who knows? That's conversations for another day. And with that,
I guess you could trade coaches with somebody. We didn't even think about that.
I don't know if a coach...
The opportunities.
Yeah, the problem with that is when you do that, like, it's not just... You can't just trade coaches because the coaches have their coaches that they coach with. You know?
Yeah, I know.
So it would be an en masse, be like a class action.
We're trading our entire team for your entire team.
Right, pretty much. Pretty much. I don't know. That made me kind of sad talking about Belichick leaving.
Well, because it's kind of he's like the last guy of the Patriots dynasty, like icon of it.
Yeah.
Still on the Patriots.
Yeah. Him and Matthew Slater are kind of the only mainstays.
Yeah.
David Andrews will become the old head if they leave, and that'll be tough. That'll be tough. But enough about that and whining. I guess it's about time we talk about the potential dogs of the week this week. And because we already did our predictions, this will be how we end the episode. So, LB, you've had plenty of time to think about it. Who do you have as your dog of the week?
Yeah, I'm going Baker Mayfield. They won a big game over the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South race, excuse me. There's a 3-way tie at 6-7 right now, so Tampa Bay winning that was clutch. Baker had a really good game, two touchdowns, and a game-winning drive, throwing a game-winning touchdown to the tight end with 31 seconds left. So Baker Mayfield's my dog of the week, getting the Tampa Bay Bucks lined up and in pole position to make a playoff run if they can stay somewhat consistent.
Heck yeah. Throw more to Mike Evans, would you, buddy? Because my fantasy team lost because of that. So Mike Evans is a perennial 1,000-yard receiver. So continue to use him, please. But good job, Baker, for getting the job done against the Falcons team that found a way to score more than 20 points. Hound, what you got for us?
My dog of the week is a 6'6", 230-pound giant of a man. Former first-round draft pick, Joe Flacco.
Oh,
let's go.
He led the Browns. Yeah, he plays for the Browns now. With a win over the Jaguars with 311 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had an interception, but that's okay. And he had 4 rushes for -1 yards. Good old Joe Flacco statistics.
Yeah.
What it makes this even better, though, is the fact that Joe Flacco is going to turn 39 in a month, and that he hasn't really been a very consistent starter for the last 3 or 4 years. And he wasn't even on a team this season until November 20th, when he did get signed by the Browns because they were having so many quarterbacks getting injured. So there's been news stories that apparently Joe Flacco even auditioned to be an NFL analyst at the beginning of the season, but for some reason didn't get the job. So
wow,
I guess he had to fall back to being a quarterback again and, performing pretty well. So I like to see it. Maybe Joe Flacco will lead the Browns to the playoffs. They're in a good spot. They're 8-5. So
goodness,
they only have to win like half of their remaining games to make it, probably. So there's a good chance that he might be a playoff starting quarterback this season, which I don't know. Didn't expect to see Joe Flacco in the playoffs ever again.
I hear you.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's wild.
Joe Flacco Super Bowl is possible.
It is.
I want to see that now.
And who would have thought that Joe Flacco would have more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers this year? Like who would have thought?
True.
Who would have thought?
That's true. Yes, more touchdowns.
That's funny.
Yep.
My dog of the week is, once again, I have gone to this well multiple times, but I'm going there again. I'm going to pick a group of players, and I'm picking a group of players that include the likes of Tyreek Stevenson, Justin Jones, Jack Sanborn, and Travis Homer. Players you've never heard of before.
Right.
Unless you're a Chicago Bears fan. I'm picking the Chicago defense to be my dogs of the week. They held the high-flying Detroit Lions to 13 points, and they shut them out in 3 of the 4 quarters. That's pretty daggone impressive considering the role the Detroit Lions have been on this year especially. And these division games always get nice and spicy, but nobody picked the Bears to win this game. I sure didn't. And not only did nobody pick the Bears to win this game, I'm sure there was many people that would have picked this score the opposite way. 28-13 Lions, but it was the Bears, despite not having the illustrious Matt Nagy calling offensive plays for them, they were able to dismantle the Lions' offense. And to give you some stats on that, they picked him off twice. Jaquan Brisker, number 9, had 13 tackles with 4 assists on top of it, and they sacked him 1, 2.5, 3.5, 4 times. Well, I guess it would be 3 times because those it'd be 4. It'd be 4. So he was sacked 4 times, Jared Goff was, and picked off twice. And a guy had basically 17 tackles on that defense, which is wild. That is a lot of freaking tackles. So congratulations to Joe Flacco, to the Chicago Bears, and to Baker Mayfield for being our dogs of the week. And with that, I really hope that it's an uneventful week next week, besides the Chiefs-Patriots game, so that we could talk some college ball. I've been itching to hear LB's opinion on some of these young stud quarterbacks that are going to be available. I'm excited to talk about the playoff. I'm excited to talk about some of the bowl games that aren't technically part of the playoff, but let's just hope that outside of the Chiefs-Pats game, that is a relatively boring week of NFL football. But until then, be well, everybody, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. Be sure to check out the Thinking Hound and to like, share, and subscribe.